Have you ever noticed how your mind sometimes refuses to stay where it should? You sit down with a plan to study, work, or complete something important, yet within minutes, your attention drifts away. A phone vibrates, a message appears, or a random thought invites you somewhere else. What should have been 1 hour of effort turns into an evening of scattered moments. At the end of the day, you look back and realize that time moved forward, but your progress did not. It feels frustrating and confusing. Many people begin to believe that they simply lack talent or intelligence and that success is reserved only for those born with special gifts. But if you look carefully at the stories of successful people, you will discover something surprising. Again and again, the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who struggle is not talent, it is focus. Focus is a quiet power that few people truly understand. It is not loud, dramatic, or impressive at first glance. Instead, it works slowly and patiently, turning small efforts into powerful results over time. When someone learns to control their attention, they unlock a force that can transform ordinary potential into extraordinary achievement. The story you're about to hear explains this idea in a simple yet unforgettable way. It is the story of a boy who once believed he had no future. His grades were falling, his confidence was fading, and every day he felt more lost. Yet everything changed when a wise teacher gave him a lesson using nothing more than a clay bowl filled with water. That simple demonstration opened his eyes to something most people never truly understand. And by the end of this story, you may begin to see your own struggles in a completely different way. In a lively town filled with busy streets and colorful shops lived a boy named Aaron. Aaron was intelligent and curious, with a mind full of imagination and endless dreams. Some days he imagined becoming a doctor who saved lives. Other days he dreamed of being an artist who painted beautiful landscapes. Sometimes he even imagined exploring distant countries and discovering hidden places in the world. His imagination had no limits, and everyone around him could see his potential. However, Aaron had one serious problem. While his dreams were big, his attention was fragile. Whenever he tried to concentrate on studying, something quickly stole his focus. The smallest noise could pull his thoughts away. A single message on his phone could distract him for 20 minutes. Even during lessons at school, his mind often drifted into long daydreams about adventures and ideas that had nothing to do with the class in front of him. Each evening, Aaron promised himself that tomorrow would be different. He told himself he would wake up earlier, study harder, and finally prove that he could succeed. But the next day always followed the same pattern. He began with good intentions, but slowly his focus slipped away again. At first, he laughed about it, believing it was not a serious problem. After all, he considered himself naturally smart, and he assumed that intelligence alone would carry him toward success. Time, however, has a way of revealing the truth. Slowly, Aaron began to notice that his grades were falling. Tests that once felt easy now seemed difficult. Teachers who once praised his creativity started to shake their heads with concern. Homework piled up unfinished. The gap between his dreams and his results grew wider every week, and the pressure inside him began to grow as well. His classmates moved forward, while Aaron felt as if he were standing still. Some of them improved their marks and gained recognition for their discipline. Meanwhile, Aaron felt increasingly embarrassed. The worst part was not the grades themselves, but the feeling inside his heart. His confidence began to crumble little by little, like a wall slowly breaking apart. On several nights, he lay awake in his bed, staring at the ceiling. In the quiet darkness, he whispered words he never thought he would say. Maybe I am not good enough. Maybe I am simply not capable. These thoughts grew heavier with every passing week, and soon Aaron began to believe that failure might be his future. One afternoon, after receiving another disappointing exam result, Aaron walked slowly to the schoolyard and sat beneath a large tree. He covered his face with his hands, hoping no one would notice his frustration. At that moment, an elderly teacher named Mr. Han happened to pass by. Mr. Han was known throughout the town as a man of deep wisdom who had helped many struggling students find their path again. Seeing the sadness in Aaron's posture, Mr. Han approached quietly and sat beside him. With a gentle voice, he asked, "Why does such a young boy carry so much disappointment in his eyes?" Aaron hesitated, but finally spoke honestly. He explained that he tried to study, yet his mind refused to stay focused. He admitted that he felt like a failure and feared that he might never achieve anything meaningful. Mr. Han listened patiently without interrupting. When Aaron finished speaking, the teacher remained silent for a moment, as if thinking carefully. Finally, he said something unexpected. "Come to my house tomorrow morning. I would like to show you something important." Aaron was confused, but curiosity pushed away his hesitation. He agreed to visit the teacher the next day. The following morning, Aaron arrived at Mr. Han's small wooden house on the edge of town. The teacher greeted him warmly and led him into the garden. On a simple wooden table stood a clay bowl filled completely with water. Without explanation, Mr. Han lifted the bowl and carefully placed it in Aaron's hands. "Take this bowl," he said calmly. "Walk to the marketplace and return here without spilling a single drop." Aaron stared at the bowl in disbelief. The market was the busiest place in town, full of shouting merchants, wandering animals, and rushing crowds. "That sounds impossible," Aaron said nervously. Mr. Han simply smiled and replied, "Try." Holding the bowl with trembling hands, Aaron stepped into the crowded street. The world around him felt louder than ever. Vendors shouted about fresh fruit and colorful fabrics. Dogs barked from behind wooden fences. Children ran past him laughing and chasing one another through the market stalls. Every time Aaron glanced up to see what was happening around him, the water splashed against the edge of the bowl. By the time he returned to Mr. Han's house, almost half of the water was gone. The teacher looked at the bowl and nodded thoughtfully, as if the result had been expected. "You see, Aaron," Mr. Han explained gently, "this bowl represents your mind. Inside it are your goals, your studies, and your dreams. But each time you allow distractions to pull your attention away, a little bit of that focus spills out. Eventually, the bowl becomes empty and nothing remains to support your dreams." Aaron lowered his eyes, realizing how perfectly the lesson described his life. "What should I do?" he asked quietly. Mr. Han refilled the bowl with water and handed it back to him. "Try again," he said, "but this time move slowly and keep your eyes on the water." Aaron returned to the street once more. This time, he ignored the noise around him. He walked carefully, step by step, keeping his gaze fixed on the surface of the water. The shouting merchants, barking dogs, and laughing children faded into the background. When he returned, only a few drops were missing. Mr. Han smiled with satisfaction. "When your eyes remain on the goal," he said, "distractions lose their power. This is the true meaning of focus." From that day forward, Aaron began to train his concentration the same way athletes train their muscles. The teacher gave him 4 simple rules to guide his effort. First, control your thoughts. When your mind wanders, gently guide it back. Second, build a daily routine that clearly separates study, rest, and recreation. Third, remove unnecessary distractions by keeping phones, games, and clutter away from your workspace. And fourth, practice every day with patience, just as a tree grows slowly from a tiny seed. At the beginning, Aaron struggled with these changes. Old habits are difficult to break, and sometimes he still reached for his phone or drifted into daydreams. His friends even laughed when he refused to join their games during study hours. Yet every evening he remembered the bowl of water and the lesson behind it. Gradually, his discipline became stronger. Aaron created a clear timetable and followed it carefully. He studied in short, focused sessions, giving his full attention to each subject. When distracting thoughts appeared, he quietly reminded himself, "This is my focus time." Little by little, the restless butterfly of his mind transformed into a steady and flowing stream. Weeks passed, and the change became visible. Aaron could now study for long periods without losing concentration. His understanding improved, his memory grew sharper, and his teachers began to notice his dedication. Most importantly, the confidence that had once disappeared slowly returned to his heart. Months later, Aaron faced an important scholarship examination that could shape his future. This time, he prepared differently. Instead of panicking and cramming at the last moment, he followed his routine with calm discipline. He studied consistently, slept properly, and entered the exam room with a clear and steady mind. When the results were announced, Aaron had achieved something remarkable. Not only did he pass the examination, he ranked among the top students in the entire school. His mother cried with pride, and his friends congratulated him warmly. Yet Aaron understood that the true victory was not the score on the paper, but the strength he had discovered within himself. Years later, Aaron became a teacher. On the first day of his class, he walked into the room carrying a familiar clay bowl filled with water. The students looked at him curiously and laughed softly, wondering what their new teacher was planning to demonstrate. Aaron smiled and told them the story of a boy who once believed he was hopeless. Then he held up the bowl and said, "Success does not belong only to the smartest people. It belongs to those who can carry their dreams carefully without spilling them through distraction." The room fell silent as the students listened. Many of those students would later say that the lesson changed their lives. And Aaron, the boy who once doubted himself, became the man who helped others believe in their own potential. His journey proved a powerful truth. Focus is not about doing more things, but about giving your full attention to the things that truly matter. Distractions will always exist in the world around you. Noise, temptation, and endless information will compete for your attention every day. But in the end, the choice is yours. You decide whether your bowl will remain full or slowly empty through careless moments. Real strength is not the ability to chase many directions at once. Real strength is the patience to stay with one meaningful task until it is completed. When you learn to guard your attention and carry your dreams carefully, you unlock a path that can lead to extraordinary achievements. If this story inspired you and reminded you of the power of focus, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us create more inspiring English stories that can motivate and teach people around the world.